God. Praise God. I know that if I would have done that, I would have continued in sin. I would not have been able to flee fornication. I did kind of touch on some of these things already. And because one of the things that, one of the parts of our topic is cohabitation, right? Or, as the churchy folk call it, shacking up. And that is where, this, like, you're just playing with fire. There's no point. I've heard people try and justify cohabitation outside of marriage by saying, well, we're getting married and we're doing this so we can save money and then get married so we can have money for the wedding. Okay, well, go live with your brother in Christ or your parents for a little bit and save money. If you know what I'm saying, like, that's just not wise. To live with them. It may feel convenient, but it is not wise. We are told, so one of the many things that I wrote down, Matthew 6:13, right, talks about in the Lord's Prayer, we're supposed to pray to lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. So yes. If we're asking God to not lead us in temptation, then why would we be leading ourselves into it? You know what I'm saying? Living under the same roof as another individual, it doesn't make that much sense. I also had 1 Corinthians 6:18 about fleeing fornication. But another one, because see, sometimes what happens is we think that we'll be okay, and if we just push a little bit, you're like, well, no, I know who I am in Christ. I know I'm not going to do that. I know this. I've read the Bible 3 times this year. I'm not going to fall. Well, 1 Corinthians, right, 10:12 says that if you think you stand, careful lest you fall. And a couple verses before that in 1 Corinthians 10:8 says that we should not commit sexual immorality as some of them did, and 23,000 died in one day, right? And then he talks about other examples of things we shouldn't do. He says, and if you think you stand, if you think you're good, be careful because you can fall. The enemy is looking to catch us off guard. The enemy is not just looking for those. One thing that tends to happen when we think that we're good is we tend to isolate a little bit because we're like, well, I don't really need people around me praying for me. I don't really need people to hold me accountable because I'm good, right? Well, the enemy is looking for someone to devour, right? He, is supposed to be watchful and of sober mind because he is looking for someone to devour. If you're off by yourself and you think you stand and you're just walking along, you're like, I'm good. No lion is going to get me. I'm hiking, right? And I'm on a mountain, Christian. And I'm like, there's no mountain lion that's coming for me. And I think that I'm good and I'm not looking for a mountain lion. Guess what? I'm about to be lunch for this mountain lion. In the same way, if we think that we're good spiritually and we move in with somebody or we push these different things, like Jennifer said, steal, kill, and destroy, then we are likely to fall. Be careful if you think you stand lest you fall. So that's something I wanted to bring up as well. In it, of course, in Genesis, Joseph and Potiphar's wife, what did he do? Like, he ran, right? Did he leave clothes behind or something, if I remember?
Yeah, he slipped out of his clothes and ran.
He ran from Potiphar's wife. He was not gonna stay around and see what happened or try and like explain to people that well, it's okay because like I didn't want to and she just didn't know. He's like, no, I'm out. Like, ran. So there's that aspect. I'm a single mom, right, from before I knew Jesus, except my daughter. I had just gave my life to the Lord. And one of the things, and I was convicted of things that I never saw anything wrong with, including premarital relations. And the guy that I was seeing on and off at the time pretended like he was supportive of me not wanting to do that anymore. And he would come over, and but he didn't have that conviction. So this is where discernment matters, right? He didn't have the same conviction. He didn't have a walk with the Lord at all. He just said whatever he needed to say. Well, I gave in one time because it can just take one time. Obviously, before Jesus, like I had already, been with him in that way. But one time, and I got pregnant. And yeah, and look, immediately I said, look, it would not have been good for us to live together, because he would have led me so far from the Lord. I knew that it was better. I knew it was better to not be with him. And I told him, I was like, we can co-parent separately. This is, it'll be great. And he was like, no, we can make this work. We can have a family. I knew I knew who he was. You know what I mean? And I was like, no, nope. And yeah, my daughter will be 8 in March. Wow. She is, so it's been a long time. And I'm a single mom, and I have a son that just turned 13, which is crazy. But what I will say is that
looks like he's like 20.
Seriously, right?
He's tall.
He is so tall. He is so tall. And I'm like, it's convenient, but like he's kind of like an oversized puppy. You know what I mean? Because he doesn't know how big he is, and he's still just like this kid. And he's great. He's great. He's my kids are amazing, but and actually we can't get into it tonight, but he's part of the reason why I gave my life to Jesus. But he actually kind of led me. It's God is so faithful. Okay. But yeah, so I had 2 babies, and I'm a single mom, and I'm waiting for marriage. So would it be better that I continued to live out of the will of God and sin so that I could like keep a family unit? Or would it be better to just trust God, you know what I'm saying, to repent of that? Because I know that if had I stayed with her dad, which praise God, praise God, I know that if I would have done that, I would have continued in sin. I would not have been able to flee fornication. Okay. So, hey, Tasha, love you, girl. But now I'm waiting for marriage, right? And now I have the joy of the Lord, and I understand who I am to him. And let me just say, is it difficult? Yes. Okay. Being a single mother is difficult, but it is so incredibly rewarding. And I've got to lean on Jesus in ways that I wouldn't have otherwise been able to. Am I saying that that's what he wants for us? No, right? That wasn't his will, but ultimately he wants a relationship with us. No matter where we're at, no matter what we've done, like that's why Jesus paid the price he paid. And he wanted to have a relationship with me regardless of all of that. And he has redeemed every aspect of my life. And my children, my son, the reason why I have to get off soon is because I have to go pick him up from youth group. Okay. He like begs me. Everyone's like, Mom, can I go? I'm like, yeah, but boy, it's -3 degrees outside. Like, I'm not trying to leave. Anyway.
What part of the country are you guys in?
I'm in the Midwest. I'm in Iowa.
Oh, man. I lived in Green Bay for a couple of years.
Oh,
that's
gosh.
Too cold. Too cold.
Can't do cold weather.
Yeah. Oh my God. So, I'm trying to escape.
So let me ask you this, and I'm asking on behalf of, like, if anyone watches this later and is like, oh, well, what about this? It's not because I'm, trying to like ruffle any feathers or anything.
Oh, you're good.
But so what about someone who were to say, well, what about, the child's like statistics of growing up in a 2-parent household versus 1-parent household? Like, shouldn't there be an aspect where you just kind of just say, hey, I made this decision, now I got to live with it, and I got to be with this person? And then how Paul talks about, even if your husband isn't a believer, your testimony of how you being a good wife will push him closer to Christ. What if they, what do you say to that?
To that, here's what I would say. What are the statistics of a child that's raised up in the Lord versus raised up in a 2-parent household without the Lord? How do we compare that, right? So had I, like I said, if I would have been with him and stayed with him, I would not have continued to seek the Lord in the way that I did. My children would not have benefited from that. I would have been so busy warring for him that my children would have taken a back seat, and they wouldn't have been able to see me war for them. You know what I'm saying? Because that would have became my focus, and it is not my job to save him, right? And so I hear what you're saying. However, I would have continued to sin. He wasn't trying to get married. You know what I mean? It's like, what am I gonna do as a woman of God? Go propose to this man that's out here sleeping with 5 women? Like, yeah, no, thank you. You know what I'm saying? So in my situation, that wouldn't have happened anyway. There are circumstances where, you know, you have 2 parents that are, you know, worldly, like, and don't know the Lord. Are their children any better off? Even if you're looking at statistics of being a college graduate or how much money they make, are they better off? Because what's going to happen to all that? It's going to fade away. They're not going to be standing in glory one day. They're not going to know Jesus. So it is much better for my children to have just me and Jesus than me and him and no Jesus, if that makes sense. And I firmly believe that God can redeem my household, and that will be a testimony in and of itself of how God brought someone into the picture that was going to fill that position, right? Someone that can lead my family, that can lead me and lead my children. So but
No,
yeah,
that's a good point.
Pretty good.
Many times most people don't bring up, like, okay, what about the statistics of non-believer with 2 parent, you know? So that's a good point. You made a really good point there.
Because what really is success, right? At the end of the day, what really is success?
Right. I mean, and so we're talking about God. God can do anything. God could even bring him back.
That's not, no.
But, I mean,
legally he cannot.
Oh, okay. Well, who knows? I'm just saying. I'm just
somebody
saying.
no.
I'm just saying. If God, I'm just saying if someone's
She
still
said-
living, God is still in control. That's all I'm saying.
It's true.
I'm just putting it out there. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'm not
in this case, that, I mean, he has the 2 other children that he had that were born a month apart, that he could go marry one of them as well. God can redeem him over there, and I would be happy for them.
He's getting redeemed everywhere.
Like,
getting redeemed everywhere.
There's opportunities, you know what I mean? There are opportunities for him, and praise God for it. God is not going to give up on him, and I pray for him. And there's that.
No, I'm just bringing
but
that.
I know.
I'm just bringing that up because I've got to bring. You know, we all can see the amazing part of what you just shared. You know, but there's always that, you know, that thought that someone else out there may be thinking, and so I'm just curious how you would address it. Those weren't my opinions where I'm like, hey, you need to do this or that,
right?
Because I obviously think that's, you know, that's not necessarily a black and white issue, and
right.
I think it sounds like your head's in the right place.
Yeah.
I mean, you made the decision that was best for you, that you felt was best for you.
And for my children.
And your kids.
And in a lot of ways, he made that decision as well. So, you know, there is that. But there are also situations where God is looking to redeem that entire family unit, and he can do that. There are situations where I've seen it, you know, where the man had done X, Y, and Z, and God redeemed it and brought him back, and they got married, and they lived happily ever after in the Lord, right? And that happens too. And the beautiful thing about God is he is not limited, period, right? So whatever he can do for them is amazing. That's showing his glory. But he is so multifaceted. And so whatever he ends up doing in my life and my children's lives, that's beautiful. And he gets to show that situation as well. Because there are some times where, you know, because we don't want to have women who are single moms holding on to hope of God redeeming and restoring the man and bringing him back to her and them getting married and having a family. We don't want them to just hold on to that, because there are times where that man is incarcerated. There are times where that man, you know, he has to also get to a place where he turns to the Lord, right? And so we don't want her redemption story to be limited by only this one solution. While it can happen, we just don't want that to be a limitation for her, because God is limitless, right? So
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's a good story. That's a good testimony.
Do you have anything to add to that, C Love, or any questions you want to? Because you're a psychologist major.
No,
okay.
I mean, anything can happen. Like you said, years from now, he may have a change of heart. He may come back to you and things may work out. But she's like, nah.
Hey,
So
you said,
okay.
hey, you can't limit their thing. You can't limit God either.
Right, but in this case, when like, I'm gonna say this without saying too much, because it's my daughter.
Yeah, don't go on.
But legally, he cannot be around her. So that won't happen.
You don't have to say anymore.
So that's what I was trying to like say. Like, so a year, 10 years, whatever it is, like,
doesn't matter.
Yeah, thank you, Tasha. God makes it clear when a door has shut. That's true.
But we can't. All I'm saying is this.
Yeah.
And I'll push this. I'll die on this hill, because this is just how I am about this type of topic. I don't believe that someone's present, no matter how unrealistic it looks to anybody. I don't think that someone's present is dictated. Their future is dictated by the present, especially when you put God in the picture. I don't care if it's the White House is involved. If God's in the picture, in my opinion, for anything, just because things I've done in my life, like in terms of like goals and things that I've achieved, it's because God was in the picture, and there was like no way any of this stuff was supposed to happen. And so all I'm saying is I'm not I just don't like limiting what he can do. I'm not saying it's realistic. I'm not saying it's realistic. I'm just saying that's all I'm saying.
No, I completely get that.
Look at Paul. Paul literally
I know.
probably wasn't allowed to be around like other believers because he was killing them, you know?
Right.
But I'm just saying that God can do more than we think. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying this will or won't. I'm just saying God can do more than we think.
And he can. And my life is proof. I was in foster care. My mom is an addict. I was a high school dropout. I didn't know who my biological dad was. But now I'm a college graduate. I met my biological dad 3 years ago. I found him. You know what I'm saying? Like, God has redeemed every aspect of my life, almost every aspect, but like, this is still naked, but like otherwise, he's redeemed every aspect of my life. And I know that if he can, look, the stuff I have been through, if he can save me, he can save anyone.
Right.
But saving them doesn't necessarily mean that he will restore like a family unit. You know what I'm saying? Like, saving their soul and using them and using their testimony. Yes. Just like with my biological dad, right? I found my biological dad a few years ago. Him and my mom are not going to get married. You know what I'm saying? Like, is it, you know what I mean? Well, maybe, right? Who knows? It'd be his fifth wife. So like, maybe, I don't, who knows, right? But it doesn't, just because they're not getting married doesn't mean there is any less redemption that took place. You know what I'm saying? Like, I still found my biological dad via ancestry DNA when I didn't even have his name. And like, I got to like build up these relationships with this other half of my family, and my children have their grandfather, and he is wonderful with them. And so that's redemption still. You know what I mean? So like, even if her dad, if he gets redeemed, God can use him, right? It doesn't mean to redeem his soul from you know, the grip of the enemy, doesn't mean that to restore the family unit necessarily, right?
It doesn't mean it's a necessity.
Right, exactly. Right. So and what I pray for is for his soul, right? For his salvation. And you know, God be with him. and it doesn't mean I will be, you know?
Right.
So, but I hear you. Like, we should never limit God, and nobody is too far gone for God. But there are some things that we do lose in our lives that we lose permanently because of decisions that we made. And that's just what it is, you know?
Mm-hmm. And I hope none of this is too, you know, uncomfortable or anything like that. I'm just
gonna go
probing for
cry.
conversation. Not
I'm just
really.
kidding. I'm gonna go cry in the corner. No, I share my testimony like multiple times a year. Used to be monthly, but COVID, at different events and things like that. And
nice.
You're good. You're good. Don't worry.
She's a big girl.
I am. Yeah. Thank you, Kristen.
For sure.
Yeah. No, I think that's I think that's good. I think that you know, maybe this is a topic for another time. Because you know, my next question is, which we've talked about with Chris King, who usually hops on at the end, about what is like what is too much, you know, like what is, like, if it's unconditional, what is unconditional?
Oh, in marriage?
Yeah, marriage.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so that's, you know, it's a topic we could talk about some other time. It doesn't really apply to this situation, but a lot of times I do hear people, guys and girls, both say stuff like, well, you know, we were married, but you know, they did this, and I gotta, you know, kind of love myself, and you know, self-love is the best love, and it's kind of like, okay, you know, like, you're not saying that. I'm just saying that I've heard some people go that route, and I'm like, okay, well, you know, like, well, it's good. God can redeem it with them. It's like, well, then God can redeem it with me, you know?
Right,
and so, and I'm speaking from someone from the outside, and not even on this topic, but I just think, you know, just something interesting to throw in the mix, maybe another week or something, you know?
Yeah.
Because I think you made some really good points.
Yeah.
And definitely your story is amazing.
Praise God. So I will just say one thing, then I have to hop off because my son, they get to play basketball afterwards.
Yeah.
He's probably loving it, but it's cold, so I'm gonna have to put on like 27 layers. So it's not fun. I grew up in Vegas, and so I just really
man,
warmth. But what I'll say to that is, I mean, the word says, right? Jesus himself said, because it's in red letters, that the only reason for divorce is adultery.
Right.
You break the covenant when you bring someone else into it. So, I mean, if we go off his word, I mean, it's kind of cut and dry. I know people talk about like different abuse and things like that. That's why you got to use discernment and just like careful who you marry. Like, don't just, you know, you got to look for fruit. You know, don't be foolish. If you see that they're impatient and quick tempered and they're rude to this person and that person, if they punch a wall in your presence and then you still marry them, like, use discernment. You know what I'm saying? Like, use discernment. But if you're in, look, that's a whole other thing. But
that's another topic. That's a good topic.
It's another, it's a really good one.
You've been giving us some good topics the last couple weeks.
You're welcome. I love this so much.
Yeah. Well, go ahead and pick up. It's your son, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Go ahead and pick up your son. Thank you for joining us, and we hope that you can come on and share some more of your wisdom another time, because it was really great, and I think we really both enjoyed having you on.
Thank you for coming, Kristina.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kristen.
And everybody,
and
go ahead
Zach.
and follow her, and she has an amazing testimony. She shared part of it now. I'm sure there's even more to the story, but from what we heard, just the tip of the iceberg was amazing. And so thank you again for coming on.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me, you guys.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, bye.
All right.
So we've got Carl is still in the room, and then we got Chris. So we'll go ahead and toss Carl back in because he was in the middle of his statement a minute ago. So let's go ahead and toss him back in here.
Bring both on.
We could. I guess we could.
I forgot my state letting in.
I think we were still on like the limits thing.
Yeah, but I was listening and laughing at See Love most of the time. When you introduced me the first time, I waved like I was on Zoom or something like that, but I didn't have my screen up or something. I was like, "Hey, wait, they can't hear me."
Yeah.
Wait, so Carl, what were you saying was like the limit, like as far as like physical boundaries?
I was saying that the limit is, the limit was kissing. I mean, I personally done that.
Well, I mean,
as you know, I have
yeah.
too. But
I think I think most people have gone past that.
Yeah.
There's an ideal
That
like just like someone can say, someone could be a doctor. Someone could be a doctor and say, "Hey, don't do this or you'll catch a cold," and it doesn't mean they've never caught a cold in their entire lifetime. So, you know, don't worry about, oh, I've done this, I've done that. I mean, almost everybody has, to an extent.
But like you said, what's the ideal situation? The ideal limitations on it.
I know he's at the fire station right now, so who knows? Maybe he got a call or something. Let me see. Yeah, I think he had to go.
Yeah, he froze up.
Yeah. I know he's still in here. I'll send him one more request, and then we'll go ahead and bring Chris on.
I've seen you.
I'm not very good with technology. I'm sorry, guys.
Nah, it's all good. So you were saying before,
yes, I saw like the last what you were saying, and I agree. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, there's an ideal, but many times a lot of people.
I mean,
go ahead.
I was gonna say people like to strive for that. I mean, if you're still in a relationship with that person, you can. I feel like honestly, and if that's that person, you can reset. But there's only so much resets you're gonna do, and then it's like, all right, well, we need to set a new limit or try better or whatever. But I mean, I think in that case, you're probably not living together. I don't know that. I mean, there's different scenarios.
Oh, definitely.
I
think living together would make it a lot harder to keep those boundaries. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. This day and age, you have to be striving for marriage if you're already living together. You have to be, or maybe it's money wise and there's another roommate in there, but someone has their own room.
Right. We were looking at some statistics. Someone said we should put a poll up, and I agree, but I don't know how to put a poll up on a live. I don't think there's an option. I don't see an option.
I think you put it on your story.
It would have to be on the story. Okay, yeah. Do that on the story for sure. So I pulled up some statistics before coming on here, and interestingly enough, 2002.
That's a long time.
54% of adults 18 through 44 had cohabitated at some point in their life. 60% had been married at some point in their life. 2017, it switched to close to 60% had cohabitated, but only 50% had ever married. So it's interesting how over the last 20 years, things have changed very drastically in terms of those percentages.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And
Especially,
then, I've got some other stats on here about, whether or not they do it because they see it as a next step towards marriage, or because they see it as financial, it's a better financial decision, things like that. And the reasons people get married versus the reasons people cohabitate. And it was really interesting to find that 38% of people who cohabitated saw it as a better financial decision. And 13% of people who were married saw getting married as a smart financial decision. So I'm curious. I'm curious everyone's thoughts on that in the comments. I've had 2 relationships that we just jumped the gun early and saw the financial benefits. And there's an "and" at the end. I guess there's more to the story.
That's one of the guys that I work with in the station.
Let's see his thoughts. I'm assuming he's not working right now.
No,
Otherwise, he would just came downstairs and said something to you.
Yeah, no.
Kelsey, I want to get your thoughts on this too. I want to get. One thing I like seeing is people who have. She's an attorney, so she'll have points and points and points, and I like to see. I like to see that. I want to see whether it's agreeing or disagreeing.
Right.
I mean,
let's see.
So I just had a man meal yesterday. Man meal is when all the guys, like my buddies, we get together and we have food and drink and just talk about what's going on in our lives and everything. But we're actually talking about common law marriage and which states vary, and if Florida still had common law marriage. And I don't know if you can look the statistic on this, but I'm pretty sure the common law marriage is like higher up. And so what people don't know what common law marriage is you're in a relationship with one, and then you financially go in on a house together and you live together underneath that roof. And so after a certain amount of years, you're considered married. And I believe in Florida, it's 7 years.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
We weren't sure if they got rid of it, but I believe it's 10 year. It's something like each state has their own common law. There we go. 7 years.
Someone said 7. Kelsey said, I think fewer states have common law now, which that makes sense. I think it was designed for earlier days.
I mean, it's not that far. I mean, it's been a few years, I think.
Right.
That they started getting rid of it. Yeah. But it's more common because I remember hearing or listening to the adults talk about it and how, that's so-and-so, they're in common law marriage. Like, okay. Well.
Interesting.
Yeah. Wow.
Cool. Well, what was the other topic? I know Chris definitely had something he wanted to say about, I already know he had something he wanted to say about the limits, but I want to hear his thoughts on the traditional roles, because he had some talks about that before. So
I remember us at the Bachelor.
So now it's time for round 2. He may have a different opinion now, as you'll see. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw him on really quick.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
How do you get these comments? Without getting rid of the, you know what, I'm just going to leave it.
All right, I just accepted. Sometimes there's a little bit of a delay.
Hello, John. By the way, JK. What's up?
Hey, Chris. Chris,
So wait,
what's up, man? Are we catching you at a good time?
yeah, we're good, perfect. So what y'all wanna start?
So we had 3 topics today, and wherever you want to join in, and anyone who wants to put any questions or request to come on the live, feel free, and we'll go ahead and give your opinion and everything. But we've got physical boundaries. Are there physical limits before sex, or is it just like sex is it, and you can do whatever you want until then?
Okay.
We already talked about this one last week, but are traditional roles still important? Or are they just, not really, do they not matter? And when we talk about traditional roles, more biblical roles, Ephesians 5, submission and husband dying for the wife. And then the other topic is cohabitation before marriage. Is it wise? Is it not wise?
All right. I think we should start with we could just start with the limits.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm gonna reference the great Allen Iverson. We talking about practice. Practice? We talking about kissing? Come on now, we talking about kissing. Not sex. We're not talking about sex. We're talking about kissing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Come on, man.
Mm-hmm.
I think it depends on the person, to be honest, right? I think some people, hey, like if you know yourself, if you know you absolutely can't handle kissing, then hey, that got to be your boundary, and you kind of have to talk to that. You got to talk to your partner about that and make sure y'all, on the same page. Me personally, I'm not waiting till I get married to kiss my wife. No, not just my wife. Like any person I'm dating, like I'm going to kiss them. Like that's just me.
So the question isn't where isn't the boundary? I'm asking where is the boundary?
Where is the boundary?
For you personally.
I think you have to, like I said, it goes case by case in that person. I think you got to know like where you kind of have to find yourself and be like, yeah, bro, this is too far. It's like every time, for example, every time I watch this one show, it sends me straight into lust, right? So I gotta know, hey, that has to be a boundary for me, right? I can't indulge in this one show if it automatically leads me to there. If you know that line for you is sleeping over, right, or taking a shower with somebody, or whatever that line is, if you know that, no, I can't. Hey, it's different for everybody, bro. It's different for everybody. I saw your face, Zach. But hey, whatever your line is, you got to be like, you know what? I cannot touch that line. So once you identify where that line is, take a couple steps back and then be like, you know what? Now I'm not even going to get close to that line, right? But once you make that kind of decision of, okay, this is the line. Let's say the line is, okay, being around each other naked, right? And you're dating. Okay, if that's the absolute line, if you know, hey, you get to there, it's downhill from there. You got to be like, you know what? Now we can't even spend the night because I know if we're spending the night, that's probably going to happen. And if that happens, I know it's going all the way, right? So you got to say, okay, the boundary is spending the night at my girl's house or whatever. If I know I can't spend the night at my girl's house, then that's a wrap. And y'all got to be on the same page with that, right? I think it's a conversation that both parties need to have because it's real, right? If my boundary is, like, if I'm comfortable with kissing and that woman is not, then chances are it's probably not going to work.
Okay. So you said a lot there. There's a lot of good information. I agree that it's individual. Kristina said the shower.
The shower, yeah. I saw that.
Eyes.
But hey, we're talking about everybody. Like everybody has different,
Okay.
I'm not saying it's wise, but hey, everybody got different ones.
Okay. So my question is this: where is that limit for you?
For me,
Unless it's too personal.
Yeah, man, that's too personal, bro. I don't want to get that out there. No. But my limit for me, obviously, I mean, I don't know if anybody follows me or whatever, but I'm a virgin, right? I'm waiting until I get married and stuff to have sex. So, and not that I'm just have this crazy willpower or anything like that, but and especially in undergrad, man, I put myself in some bad situations, right? To like where literally it was one move and I would have been on the other side, right? And both of y'all could vouch for me because I mean y'all was both my roommates, UNC Love. So like I've learned to not even put myself. I try my best not to even put myself in those situations. I be upfront about that. Hey, the girl I'm talking to at the moment or whatever, to be like, hey, this is where I'm at. This is where I stand. This is what I'm trying to do, so they can kind of be on the same page too. Now, what I found out is a lot of times when I'm open and kind of upfront about that, most women, the vast majority of women don't want to. They're like, man, I gotta respect that. I'm not gonna be the reason why you slip up, right? I'm not gonna be the reason why go to the other side. So they can kind of respect it, and they even hold me accountable sometimes. Because sometimes, I'm human, I'm a man just like anybody else.
Right.
So I can kind of, push the limits a little bit, knowing that I know it's not gonna go this far. But sometimes, especially in the past, I might be like, all right, let me get this close to the line.
Yeah,
right?
kind of like we've all done it, where we're basically like, oh, let me see how close I can get to the line without actually crossing the line. And something that was interesting, I think I told you about this a few weeks ago or months ago maybe, but I was there's a lot of grass, high grass behind my fence. And during the summer there was a snake. I saw a snake in my yard. And it was staying across the fence because it doesn't want to be in the low grass because hawks can see it and everything. And so I went to the backyard and I realized I got to cut that grass behind my fence down. So what I did was I cut a row and I was like, okay, there we go. That's good. But then I thought the snake can still kind of slither into that. I want to make it to where the snake really has to go through a lot of low grass before it can even get to my yard. And so I decided to cut it way back, like maybe 10, 20, 15 yards back. And so I think it kind of sounds like what you're saying about the boundaries is find what your limit is and then push it back a little further just to make sure you don't even get up to the fence and then fall over.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, like that's a hard one because, like I said, it's kind of different for everybody up to a certain extent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm saying, like, you really gotta be self-aware and gotta know yourself. You got to be really honest with yourself, right? You have to be really honest with yourself. Like for me, and you can talk about the whole cohabitation and stuff or living together.
Okay, let's go to the cohabitation part.
I could never do that. Never. Hey,
I
I
can't
know I'm
either.
strong. I'm strong to
Can't
a
live with
certain
you.
extent, but I ain't Superman, right? And especially saying, "Oh, I love this woman and I plan to marry this woman." Ain't no way, man. It's going down. Like at some point, it's going to happen. You know what I mean? At some point, I'm gonna push the limits. Y'all know I don't wear a shirt all the time, so like at some point, it's gonna happen. So there's no way I could live. I could live with my woman, and not expect it. Now, is living with your woman a sin? It's just not wise, right? Like it's just not using wisdom to be like, hey, bro, you're gonna be around this woman. She's gonna be taking showers. You're gonna be taking showers. She's gonna be chilling. Y'all gonna be sleeping together. It's just gonna get so comfortable. It's like, man, something gonna happen, right? I'm telling you, something gonna happen. So for me, there's no way I could put myself in that environment and be like, hey, Chris, like, don't expect nothing to happen. Come on now.
I do know a couple that live together. And it was crazy when I heard about it. Like the only thing they did was like kiss until they were married, and
Hey, hard
they
tune.
were strong. It was cool. It was
I know
strong.
myself. I know myself.
Yeah,
Ain't
that's
no
like
way.
the 1% though.
Ain't no way.
And
And then you know how fine my wife gonna be, bro. Ain't no way. Ain't no way.
here's the other thing too, that like even when Joelle was living, when she moved down here to Birmingham, I was still living. I moved back to my parents' house while she lived in my house.
Right.
And it
Your
wasn't
house?
that. it wasn't that there was a lot of like, there's temptation, but that wasn't the biggest thing. One of the biggest things for me, honestly, was my younger sister and my brother. And I wanted to, even if we weren't actually doing anything, I didn't want to give that appearance and to let them think, hey, this is okay for them to do. You know what I'm saying? And I was listening to Alan Parr, and me and C Love really talked about this earlier today, which was he said that, I think it's 1st or 2nd Corinthians, where Paul talks about how even if we're giving that appearance as if we are like living a certain way, it's not good to do that. He also talks about, Romans 12:1-2. Do not conform any longer to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So even if the world sees it as normal, we're not called to be like the rest of the world. So even if it's not necessarily like, it's like the world says, hey, well, is it really, it makes you kind of question, hey, is it really that bad? And you're not really doing anything, so it's not that bad. I agree that it's a gray area, but it's like, so for example, like the couple that they only kissed, that's great and that's good. And, I couldn't do that. I wouldn't be able to do it. But I think
So
that.
Zach and C Love, like, what about, because I see this kind of popped up with a couple people, spending the night. How you feel about that?
You can't do it. There's no way.
Really?
I agree.
There's no way. There's no way.
Really?
Hard too.
If you have that limitation or you limitation, you talk to that and everything, that you're kind of messing with the fire right there, because I mean, you never know. You never know what's gonna happen. They could be wearing your shirt or something because they're doing laundry, and you're like, my shirt looks good on you. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, I'm gonna keep it a buck. So like, at what point does it be like, all right, bro, like, and this for men or women or whatever,
Yeah.
at what point do you just gotta be like, nah, bro, like, you just gotta get stronger, you know what I mean?
Okay,
Like,
Chris, I have a question for you though.
can you answer the question first? How you gonna answer the question
Go ahead.
first?
I know where it's going, but go ahead.
Well, just answer the question. Well, I'm just
When
saying.
You're good. That's all I'm
So
saying.
like, at what point does it be like, you know what, bro? Like you just have to get stronger. You know what I mean? If like every time
I think
somebody kisses you, if you immediately think of, oh, I gotta have sex with him, I have sex with him, and I understand it says flee, run, I get that. But if you can't, like, if you so on edge to where if somebody kisses you, you automatically thinking about sex, it's like, man, you need to grow up. Like you gotta I don't know, just build some type of stand. I don't know. You gotta do something, because now it's just like.
I think my perspective of it is because I'm older and I'm like, oh, well, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you should have this limit of like whatever. But I think time gets you stronger. Time and trust.
That's fair.
Chris, this is the only thing I'll say. If we're looking at it from a biblical perspective, like you said, it says flee, right? I understand you went from sleeping in the same bed with somebody to kissing someone. Those are two big differences. So you said, can someone sleep, and then he's just got to get stronger, bro. I mean, a kiss, like that's really going to turn him on. That's a big difference than sleeping with someone. So I will ask you, if it says flee, is spending the night fleeing?
No, but is it necessarily inviting temptation?
It doesn't say don't invite. It says flee.
No, I said spending, it's a possibility.
Hold on, wait. Are you saying is spending the night with
inviting
somebody
temptation
in the same bed? In the same bed? Are you talking about the same bed?
Yeah.
Is spending the night with someone in the same bed inviting temptation? Are you serious?
Have you ever? So you've never? Have you ever? So just question. All y'all can answer. So have you ever been in slept the night at a woman's bed and not done anything sexually?
Yeah.
In my entire life, yeah.
Hold on.
Okay. So were you inviting?
Yes. We just got out of it. We just escaped it.
I fell asleep. That's what
Chris
happened.
said,
I just fell asleep.
Wait, hold on. Let's just ask people in the comments. Has Chris lost his mind?
No, I'm just playing the devil's advocate.
I know. I'm just mad. We're on the same page. It's a good conversation.
Yeah, we've had this discussion multiple times before. But obviously I'm just posing.
What do you guys think in the comments? What do you guys think?
One of the people that is having a bad connection with the comments has said that he has had serious connections with women in the friend zone, if you say, like, and they have slept in the same bed together and spent the night, and there was no type of sexual temptation at all.
He's lying.
He's lying.
Okay.
Okay.
Has he's never done anything?
I can agree with him. I can agree with him.
He's never done anything with her?
I thought about it because yeah.
Okay.
I think it depends though, because if you're attracted to the woman, if y'all attracted to each other.
Hold on really quick.
There's no attraction.
It's gonna Hey, it's gonna kick us off in a second, but I would say if there's no attraction, this is just me. I'm not even gonna be.
I'm not. I mean, I'm not sleeping with somebody that I'm not attracted to.
I'm not.
So y'all aren't gonna be in the same bed anyway.
I'm not gonna be. Yeah, if I'm not attracted, I'm not
dude,
in the same.
Come on now, you don't look. Nah, heck no. I'm not about to be sleeping with you.
But it depends on the circumstances. If it's like, I don't know, I could come up with a crazy scenario where maybe that could be the case. But I'm gonna have to hop back on really quick, and then we got someone in the request room really quick.
Marcus is trying to.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring them on really fast.
Yeah.
But thanks for coming on, Carl. You'll have to hop on. We do this every Wednesday. So
okay.
Keep hopping on and.
You kicking me off? I'm the one.
Oh, it's your first time. You gotta try.
He said you gotta work your way up.
You're good.
All right.